What's going on, people? Welcome to the first official video of this series. You can expect regular technical analysis updates in this playlist from here on out. We're going to be tracking XRP, of course, along with Bitcoin and Ethereum. So if this is your first time here on the channel, welcome and thanks for being here. A quick heads up, you're about to see I don't trade using trend lines, patterns, support and resistance, or any indicators except for the MACD, for nothing more than an extra confluence in certain situations. So yeah, the exact opposite to, I'm sure, everything you've probably come across online so far. By the way, have you ever noticed the brokers themselves, they actually show the same topics that I've actually just mentioned, and 75 to 90% of retail traders blow their accounts. So just think about that correlation there, and we're gonna move on in the meantime. This video is your first step out of retail. The second thing I would seriously recommend you go do is go watch the technical analysis masterclass. That playlist is 40 minutes long, but it's gonna blow your mind. Trust me, it's crazy how much it'll impact your profit, and you'll never look at the charts the same way again. Also, guess what? You get to actually understand what we're talking about when we do our TA. So without any further ado, we're gonna get into this one. Let's go. Okay, people, so hold on to your seats because I told you this was no regular TA. And so first we're going to go on a quick 2-minute journey into the psychology of retail. So follow me quickly. We're going to have a look at a couple different metrics. First one's going to be this gauge on TradingView, and on this it tells you how hot or cold retail basically is towards a particular asset. As you can see right now, Bitcoin, strong sell. Let's keep it moving. Let's have a look at CNBC. Cryptocurrency trading volume plunges, interest wanes following Bitcoin price drop. FX Street, Bitcoin loses interest from speculators heading towards 10K in a year. Thank you very much. We've got the Economic Times here. They're talking about Bitcoin tanks. Look at the language. Ethereum plunge. Again, pretty bearish. Let's move that forward. XRP still undecided. Bearish ripple technical signals accumulate. Lovely. XRP eyes death cross, has support at 51. All right, cool. What have we got here? Cointelegraph, and they're talking about Bitcoin price could revisit the old record high area around 20K. Okay, so let's tie this all together quickly, because the reason why this is also important is because we're not just looking at the psychology of the retail investor or the retail trader. We're looking at the psychology of the retail investor and the retail trader in the context of this pullback. Do you understand? Remember what we've spoke about so far. All of these different publications and all of their rhetoric is the same. It's so bearish. Now, bear in mind, if you're the retail guy, when you're doing research and you're doing your fundamentals, where would you be drawing your sentiment from? You're reading all of this stuff from all of these different publications, and it's going to give you an underlying bias. Yeah. Furthermore, if you remember back to the gauge that we looked at on TradingView, do you remember how that was flashing extremely bearish and it was a very big sell signal? Now, bear this all in mind, because now the next thing that we want to do is go onto the charts and see, can we make sense of this in the pullback within this chart? So first of all, just the fact that we're looking at the chart like this, the retail guy is not seeing that. Let's just follow the story from the retail guy's perspective. So we're in an uptrend, we're making higher highs and higher lows, make a new higher high, a new higher low, and then we make a new higher high again, because look, 62 is definitely more than 58 from this guy's perspective. Now, we're also making a new higher low in and around the 53 area. Let me get rid of all of this. Once we put in this higher low over here, this whole area is now looked at as some type of support zone. Now, I want you to put yourself in the psychology. As soon as this hits down, panic. But this jumps back up and rebounds from this area here. And when he looks at this, he can see a reason why. It makes sense to him. Okay, I've got a support in and around this area now. Put yourself in his mind now. The next time this breaks, and now we're talking about 2 supports have broken. Now watch this. Do you remember our breach line from before? This is this guy's 3rd support. Now, this is why this guy thinks it's such a big sell. Because we've got 1 support breaking, we've got 2 supports breaking, we've got this 3rd support breaking, and now you and I know this is where our buy is sitting. But as far as this retail guy goes, who's thinking about the fact that sellers have just destroyed 3 support areas and turned them into resistance zones and XYZ. For this guy, of course the market's bearish, but there's one thing I wonder if you notice. So you see the same way that we've got this whole situation, we've got our big buyer sitting in here saying the market's in an uptrend. From a smaller perspective, we've got a seller sitting in here now, and he's saying medium term, I'm saying it's a sell. Now watch this. You've got 2 different situations going on. You've got this seller saying he's a sell, this buyer saying he's a buy, and now you're in the face of that buyer. And basically you see this situation here. Who are you going to listen to now? The most recent seller, or are you going to listen to the previous buyer who took the market up in the first place? Who's the big guy and who's holding the market? It's still him. And as of right now, our bias is still going to be following this guy here. So with all of that being said, what happens in these areas, and I've mentioned this before as well, is we go into a launchpad zone. And the reason why this becomes such a launchpad and prices absolutely blow out of these areas is because everyone's convinced that it's a sell now. And you see, once people are convinced it's a sell, you don't just have people that have capitulated. Now you've got a whole bunch of traders that are going to be trying to short this. So now you've got even more sells for whoever this buyer is here trying to accumulate. And in and around this area, once you've got these type of conditions, yeah, when the market's been wrong footed and the majority of people are no longer on the same side as you saying buy, 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 buy. Imagine we're all saying buy. Everyone's saying buy. Everyone's buying. Who's selling to us? What type of prices are we paying? That's not the way that this happens. That's not the way that this works. Do you understand? So these launchpad zones get formed in areas where you've got a bigger buyer and a smaller seller disagreeing on something. And now what you have is all of retail. Do you remember how they see 3 supports breaking? They're all bearish. They think it's a bear market. They're going to be shorting everything from here. But what they don't understand is as soon as the sellers run out of their steam and they run out of absolutely everything, is the buyer's turn again. And they're going to have a very rude awakening. Okay, now, so the moment that everyone's been waiting for, the real-time technical analysis, let's get into it. So a couple of things we need to establish. This is our buyer who took the market up. After this dotted line here, as you can see, we've made no higher highs. We've merely made probes or spikes or attempts to make higher highs, which didn't hold. Then we've got this area where the sells recently activated from. This is his breach line. And now we're in and around these areas, which we know that we're going to test to the buyer. And we know that the buyer's not out of the game yet either. Okay, all of that being said and done, we're in a 4 hour. Let's drop down to the 1 hour and have a look at it on a more micro level. Okay, so we got Bitcoin here on a 1 hour chart, and we're looking at how this move initially ran, the momentum that it ran with, how aggressive it was. And at this point is where we apply a little bit of logic and we say, this was like a freight train coming full force. Number one, who's crazy enough to jump in front of it? Number two, imagine you're crazy enough to even do that. Who's got the power to stop that train in its tracks? No pun. But who's got the power to do that? That's something that we need to pay attention to. The next thing that we need to pay attention to is the market sentiment and all of the psychology that we looked into earlier. Everyone's already wrong-footed. Everyone's already bearish. There's people that are now short selling this market as well. These are the perfect conditions that we discussed before. That's the second thing that we hold into this. The third thing that we bear in mind at this moment and we become conscious of is now in these areas where this buyer is sitting, notice the inability to make the lower low. The whole pullback, as aggressive as it started, the whole pullback now has literally just become sideways. That's very interesting. Now let's have a look at this whole situation within here. So as we said, stopped it straight in its tracks. We see another attempt from the sellers to try and make a lower low. As of right now, they're unable to make these lower lows. Buyers get their first chance to say something back in response. Look at this. They just get completely dominated by the sellers. The sellers reattempt. Still no lower low. Attempt again. Not even the same low. They make an equal low this time. Now they're grinding down to the lows that they were making over here with ease. Let's have a look at this without all of the drawings real quick. Look at how far the seller went from here to here and look at how quickly and how aggressively he went there. The seller's next move came in from here. Now look at it. Now look at it. How far did we go and how aggressively did we get there? Are we still able to go the same distances that we were going before? Number one. Number two, are we able to do it as aggressively as we were able to do it before? Interesting. Now we look at the seller's next run. But look at this. What's this? let me ask you something. How does this stack up to this? And then how does this stack up to this? As you can see, the sells are losing momentum. What are they losing momentum in? They're losing momentum in the face of the buyer. Once this seller is done and he's finished and he's made his last failure of an attempt, the buyers are literally going to overwhelm these sellers. And what that's going to look like, and if I drew it just from this moment here, would be a move up to this area like this with equal amount of conviction to the move down. And what that's going to give us in the smallest universe is going to be our momentum shift. After we get this momentum shift, you guys know the drill. We don't just buy it at the top over here. That's right where these sellers are. Remember I taught you guys about pain thresholds? If prices come to even here, or even if it comes a little bit above you, if you're this seller, are you out of this game? No, this seller's still in the game. So to buy it right here is going to be criminal. That's insane. So what we're going to do, we're going to wait for this whole test period, this whole test phase. And within this test phase, if we're absolutely convinced at one point that this can't make a lower low, then at that point there, what we might do is we might start laddering in and accumulating our positions during that test phase when we're convinced that it can't go any further. So what does that mean in the short term? It means we could be range bound until the end of the year, but then we'd be going back to challenge these highs. And to be honest with you, we wouldn't just be going to challenge these, we'd be going to break these at this point. So guys, let me know in the comment section down below what your price targets are for Bitcoin. I mean, personally for mine, I expect somewhere between 100 and 150, 120 looks very reasonable, but we'll wait and see what happens with that one. But I'm really interested to know what you guys think too. Okay, so now that we've covered Bitcoin, let's try and wrap this whole video up under 15 minutes. We're going to be applying the same logic, the same methodology to everything that we're doing. And what you're going to actually see is these crypto charts correlate so much that we're going to be able to speed run through these next two. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, so we're here on an XRP chart. This is our buyer who took the market up. Look at the fact that no higher highs have been made from this area here. Our sells again started from this area and breached this zone here. Now we're looking at this whole situation the same way, and we can see the same situation playing out. Look at who these sells are going into challenge and who stops the freight train from going and making a lower low. It's this guy here. And now even though we get a little bit lower, we're still within this same trading range. Yeah, this guy is still very much alive. He has not given up his throne. If we look at the actual sells coming down, look at the first one, look at the strength and speed of this, and look at the distance that he went. Now look at the strength and speed of this one and look at the distance that he went. So look at all of this chop, 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 and then he reactivates with a bit of strength. No problem. Now the buyers do their little thing, and now when this next sell comes in, look at this, look at this, look at all of this grinding. So now we've got this compared to this compared to this, all in the face of this guy right here. Okay, so remember how I mentioned the MACD earlier, and I said sometimes I do use it to see if there's any confluence, right? This is one of those situations because selling is losing momentum, selling is fading. Is there something that can show me that selling is also fading in terms of an indicator? This is the only leading indicator that exists, by the way, and this is the only way I use it. I don't use it in any silly crossover strategy or any funny stuff like that. I just use it for some divergence, and even that is at the bottom of the totem pole. This is not some type of defining factor of any type of strategy. But as you can see, the MACD is in clear confluence with our story so far. With that being said, let's see what this would look like moving forward. When the buyers reactivate out of here, if the sellers actually fell out of this area, which I assume they will, we'll have a drastic move up to about $1, $1.05 in and around that area. And what does this mean? Does this mean that you guys should now just start buying it because we've got this momentum shift that I'm about to tell you about? No, that's not what this means. This means you wait for this, you wait for this, you wait for this. And at some point, when we're convinced that this can't make a lower low, we ladder in and we accumulate even more over here. Now, I've got a strategy for the rest of this year. I've got a theory that strategy is contingent on, which is called the Wicks theory. But in that, just like I showed you on Bitcoin, I believe that we're going to be pretty much range bound towards the end of the year. And what that means is there's a lot of trading opportunities in that to double, triple, quadruple a bag. But guys, please be responsible. The whole point of what we do is to make money, not to lose money. Please don't lose your money to these brokers and exchanges. I'll try to do my best from my side to keep you guys completely plugged in. All I can ask you guys to do from your side is, to the best of your abilities, please, number one, always make sure your risk management is fleeky. Do you understand? Don't even do nothing if you're not making sure that's on point. Like I said, I'll do my best to keep you guys in the loop and make sure you guys have got a heads up. But for the time being, let's get onto Ethereum and then we can wrap up this video. So before we can get into Ethereum's chart, we got to understand the flow of money real quick within this cycle itself. So let's watch this uptrend come up this year. He rests, and then the second leg of this comes up, makes its high, no higher high, no higher high, no higher high. And then you know what happens next. Okay. Now, in all of this, yeah, when we get to this point here, notice this point here around here in April. What's happening elsewhere in the world of crypto? As soon as in March, when Bitcoin makes the same high and is unable to make a higher high, look at the difference between Bitcoin, who stays at the same price, and now look at what XRP does. So we can see the cycle of money came into XRP. Now, XRP held this level and then couldn't do anything from here. As we can see, in and around the start of May, what do we have on Ethereum? This is literally the highs for Ethereum. So as you can see, the money's literally come out of Bitcoin, gone into Ripple, and then come out of Ripple, and then gone into Ethereum. Now, one thing that Ethereum was doing during this whole situation was it was showing you ahead of time, I've already breached out of my previous zone. The buyer who's sitting in here, he's holding the market. Sellers can't do anything about it. And then as soon as the money came out of Ripple, it went straight into Ethereum. Now that we understand Ethereum, let's look at the chart. So I've cleaned it all up. As we can see very clearly here, we've got a breach line in green, and we've got the buyer who breached and where he breached from. So now, if you look at this whole pullback coming in, drastic. Look at the next run on this. This is so clear. You guys should be able to see exactly what we're talking about in all of the graphs now. This one is the clearest, and we got this on the daily as well, yeah? So now look at the difference in all of this, and look at the fact that it's this guy who's getting weaker. This guy is still here. This guy is still in the game. But whoever this seller is, look at his next run, and now look at his next run after that. And if you can tell me that he's getting stronger, then I clearly need to have my eyes tested, because I don't know what I'm looking at. But if you agree with me, then we should be unanimous in saying that the sellers are definitely fading. And where are they fading? Again, in the face of this guy here. Okay, so with Ethereum now, what will we be looking for Ethereum moving forward? With Ethereum, the move in terms of this momentum shift will be up to that 2,800 region. And now I want you guys to tell me, as soon as we get that momentum shift and we get up to 2,800, are you guys going to chase the market? Are you going to buy up at those levels? Of course not, because you guys have been watching this, and you should know we're going to expect something like this over the course of the year. And we may well be looking at a trading range probably in between here. What we could actually see, if Ethereum is even more bullish, is a range in between here and 4K. All that is yet to be seen. Towards the end of this year, we're going to be looking to break this and make our higher highs. And that basically gives us the opportunity to stack as much crypto as we can during this accumulation period. And then at the end of this year, we liquidate everything. And then we're going to jump back into crypto 2023 from an investment perspective. But we'll be shorting this thing all the way. And I know that's going to make certain people mad, but that's what we do in the bear market. We're traders. You get me? Okay, so with all of that being said and done, if you haven't already checked out the Technical Analysis Masterclass, please go check that out now. Drop a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think of the video. Let me know where you think Ethereum's going this year. Let me know what you think about Ripple. Let me know what you think about Bitcoin, as I said. And if you're not already, I know a lot of people watching this are unsubscribed, but you're returning. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Wow, I actually just said that sentence. But yeah, do that. Anyway, until the next time, peace.